to that. But there is one memory that stands out that is not necessarily a fond memory. In fact, it's not a fond one at all, but it was a tragic incident in the life and history of the institution that I was a part of that probably reshaped the institution more than anything else that's happened, and that is the fire that destroyed the administration building on June the 22nd, 1989. It was a Thursday afternoon. I remember it as clearly as I do sitting here today. One of our student workers came running up from the basement of the administration building and hollered that there was a fire in the kitchen. And so I looked around and gathered together some material. I happened to be working on the self-study at the time, and so I wanted to be sure I didn't lose any of that material. And so put that in a box and walked outside, thinking that it, it's maybe even a little embarrassing. Here's a little fire in the kitchen, and they're going to have it out in 30 minutes, and the fire trucks are coming, and so forth. But several hours later, they were still fighting that fire, and it ultimately destroyed the gymnasium, the cafeteria, the auditorium, 8 classrooms, office space, and so forth. The total administration building was destroyed. And that was the turning point in the life of the institution. We had to go from there. I was academic dean at the time, executive vice president, academic dean. And this happened on a Thursday afternoon, and I canceled the Friday classes because there was no way for me to make arrangements that quickly. So canceled the Friday classes, but we were up and running by the following Monday and found places for all of those classes to meet. And other than that one day of missed classes, we didn't skip a beat. We went on moving forward, and it's been a blessing in disguise.
Okay. What do you feel like has been your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge has probably been the budget and raising funds necessary to operate effectively and efficiently, and to be able to provide the programs that we want to provide, the personnel that we want to hire and provide. So probably the budget has been the biggest challenge for me.
Okay. If there's one thing that you could change about the school before you left, or just right now, what would it be?
Well, if I could snap my fingers and make the thing change, it would be to find additional resources. In fact, I'm fond of saying when people ask me, how's Hannibal LaGrange doing? I reply quite often, we have no problems that a few $1 million wouldn't cure. And I think that's the case. Personnel-wise, we have a wonderful faculty and staff. Student-wise, just some of the top students that any institution would want. But we do struggle financially from time to time, and I would that would be one thing that I would change. Yeah.
If you could leave a piece of advice with each student here, what would you tell them?
My advice to our students would be to seek God's will in your life and follow that and never give up, never quit.
Okay. The attendance now is almost quadruple what it was when you began. Do you feel like the school has a limit on how big it can get, or do you feel like it should continue to grow and continue to increase in size?
It's been wonderful to see how God has blessed Hannibal LaGrange in our enrollment growth. And it certainly has come a long ways from when I first came. And there is a limit as to just how large we can get without building additional buildings and adding new programs. I would like to see it grow more. I wish to see it between 1,500 and 2,000. Right now we're at just over 1,200 students. I would love to see it 1,500 in the next three to 5 years, or 2,000 in the next 5 to 10 years. And that's possible. It can happen if the right things fall into place. But if we go beyond that, or much beyond that, then we're going to have to build new buildings, and that's obviously going to create additional challenges there. So,
okay. What are your main aims now that you're retiring and you know that there is a stopping point coming up? What is your main focus now?
I want to see that the library is finished and paid for when it's completed. Right now the target date for finishing the library is in May of 2012. We'll have a dedication of that building shortly after that. I would love to see us be able to pay for that when it is finished. And so that's going to be my primary focus these remaining months as president. I want to see to it that our current programs are on a firm foundation, and so I will work toward accomplishing that as well.
Okay. I saw that you had a speech this morning. How often have you had to do speeches to the campus, and can you just give us a number of how many times you just had to talk to the students and give presentations?
Yeah. Well, it's several times a year that I talk with the students, or have occasions to speak. Of course, there are the welcomes that we extend to the students at the start of the semester, both the new students, new student orientation, the speak to the parents, the visit days that we have, and we have those now at least once a month, and sometimes more often than that. The faculty staff workshops where I challenge our personnel, graduations, graduate luncheons, and so forth. It's quite a number of opportunities that are on campus. Now, off campus, civic clubs and churches and associational meetings, conventions, and so forth. So it's quite a number of times during the course of the year. I'm not sure exactly how many, but quite a number.
Okay. With these interviews and conventions that you go to, typically what do you go to these conventions to talk about?
Usually it's to talk about the progress of the institution, what we have accomplished, and what goals we have, what we're going to accomplish. Recently, for instance, I spoke to the Missouri Baptist Convention, 1,200 or so people, 1,300 people in attendance, and gave them an update of the progress of the institution, of the enrollment, and those kinds of things. But typically it is talking about the institution, talking about what we have accomplished and what we're wanting to do.
Okay. You are in charge of the campus, and you are at the top level, but is there anyone that Dr. Burt may have to answer to?
Well, I have to answer to the trustees for one, and then certainly I have to answer to God for my conduct. And above the trustees, who happen to be my bosses, I want to please God.